Hello everybody, this is Mr. Rob and welcome back to episode number 32 of the Cleveland Indians franchise here on MLB The Show 21 for the PlayStation 5 as we get into the last week of July with the roster trade deadline coming up. This is going to be a very exciting, jam-packed episode, so if you're excited for this one, make sure you drop a like and subscribe down below, especially if you want more franchise content. Now before we get into the episode, I do have a question on the screen currently. It's also in the description. I want your opinion on. Leave it in the comments below, and that question is, would you want an NCAA14 Revamped series coming to the channel, especially with the college football season starting? I want your interest, and if you do want an NCAA14 series, would you rather have that or NBA 2K22? I can only have enough room for one more series, and I want to know, would you rather it be NCAA14 or NBA 2K22? Now into the episode, the Tampa Bay Rays are the team we are starting off in the first half, and they are a pretty solid team, also in the wild card hunt. As you can see, their lineup currently on the screen. Zach Plesac is on the mound for us in this one, and he gets the first batter to fly out to left, and then he gets Kevin Kiermaier to fly out to center. So 2 quick outs for Plesac, and then Randy Arozarena, last year's ALCS MVP, gets a 2-out single into left field. That brings up Brandon Lau, a young prospect for Tampa, and he will strike out to end the top of the first. On the mound for the Rays is Ryan Yarbrough, who's having a Cy Young caliber season, 15-1 record with a 2.15 ERA, .96 WHIP. He is in the top 3 conversation currently in the AL Cy Young race. He'll start off his day against Ahmed Rosario like usual. He's got his average all the way up to 281 as Cleveland's offense has been firing on all cylinders recently. He takes a 3-2 sinker to the third baseman and will be thrown out for out number 1. And we'll take a look at Cleveland's lineup today. Remember, it is no catcher Austin Hedges. He is currently out, so Roberto Perez will be the catcher. Jose Ramirez, who is back, is still all the way down in the 8 hole as we try to get him mixed into the order because Rosario has been playing pretty good. And Owen Miller is also at short. We've scored 455 runs. That's about middle of the American League. Next batter up is the second baseman Cesar Hernandez. He takes the 1-0 sinker up the middle into center field for a base hit. And that'll bring up Franmil Reyes, 0-1 to him. And he connects perfectly into left field, giving us back-to-back singles. Turned on a nice inside cutter. Next up, Eddie Rosario, 0-1 to Rosario. And this pitch gets away from the catcher, and that means the runners will advance. So no double play now in order. Now we have 2 runners in scoring position thanks to the wild pitch. Later in the at-bat, Rosario takes a 3-2 changeup, and it lifts into right center, gets down, and that will be the first run of the ball game. Cleveland puts it on the board, 1-0 Indians thanks to Eddie. Jordan Luplow up next, 1-0, takes a cutter into the right center gap. This one is caught. Actually, no, it's not caught out there. Actually, off of the glove of the center fielder, so that means another run will score. However, bad base running does get Eddie Rosario out at second, but Cleveland does take a 2-0 lead. And Owen Miller will pop up into center. But Cleveland with the early lead after 1 inning, because that one was also not an easy catch. Let's get up to the 4th inning now. Back to Eddie Rosario, who we just saw have one of our RBIs. Yarbrough still on the mound. First pitch, Rosario yanks it into center. However, it is caught for out number 1. Jordan Luplow now, 0-1 to him. He sits and waits on a curveball and drills it to left center. No doubt about that one. Curveball lived right down the middle of the plate. Jordan Luplow hits his 17th home run of the season. That's pretty impressive considering he hasn't played every single day. Cleveland extends their lead on the smoothest hit of the day. 3-0 Indians now here in the bottom of the 4th. Owen Miller up next. He's first pitch swinging again. Gets jammed on the inside cutter. That'll be easy out number 2 as the first baseman hauls that one in. And then Josh Naylor up next. 1-0 to Naylor. Gets a nice cutter, but also pops it up this time to center field. But Cleveland ends the 4th now up 3-0. Top of the 5th we go. Does Tampa Bay have any sort of answer for the home run? Austin Meadows will lead off for them. He grounded out back in the 2nd. Plesac still on the mound. 0-2 to Meadows, who chops it in front of the catcher. Plesac will charge it and throw him out at first. 1 away. It brings up G-Man Choi, the first baseman for Tampa. 1-0 pitch, and he will beat the shift down the left field line. Even with his speed, he will get all the way to second base. A nice 1-out double for Tampa. That's their 2nd hit of the ball game. Michael Brousseau up next, looks at strike 3. Fastball hits the bottom of the zone. 5th strikeout for Plesac on the day. And then Adame is up next, gets strikeout number 6. Plesac dealing today through 5 innings. Later in the game, Colin McHugh, a righty, comes out for Tampa. He would relieve Ryan Yarbrough, who is actually in line for his second loss of the season. Remember, he was winless, or undefeated, technically, at the All-Star break. Bottom of the 6th, Franmil Reyes will step to the dish. He is 1 for 2 today. And 3-0 count from McHugh, misses for ball 4. So that's a leadoff walk for Franmil Reyes. I'll bring up Eddie Rosario. Next batter will walk as well. So back-to-back walks for Cleveland to start the inning, trying to get some more runs here in the 6th. Luplow, who went yard, will also walk. So 3 straight walks for McHugh, loads the bases for Owen Miller. 1-0 to Miller, sits on a curveball, grounds it up the middle. It will be a 4-6-3 double play, so he doesn't get the RBI. However, another run does score, making it 4-0. Next up, Josh Naylor with a perfect liner into right. That'll be 5-0 Cleveland with another run, thanks to our first baseman. And then the 8-hole Jose Ramirez grounds it back to McHugh. But we take now a 5-0 lead after 6 innings. And the 8th inning, Plesac still on the mound. He gets Adames to fly out on pitch number 1, first out of the inning. Francisco Mejia up next, 1-2. This one is hit into center field. It does get down in front of Rosario, but Plesac still putting in solid work today. Joey Wendell's up next, 0-1 to the top of the order. He also hits a single into center field. So that is back-to-back base runners for Tampa Bay. And in the 8th inning, we are going to pull Plesac. Phil Matan will come out with a 7.19 ERA. I swear that thing continues to keep going up. I don't know why the Cleveland Indians keep putting him back out there, but oh well. He'll start off with Kevin Kiermaier, who lines the first pitch over the glove of Hernandez as second. Runners were holding, so nobody will score. But now his bases loaded, 1 out. Randy Arozarena, 0-2 strikeouts on the curveball. Nice pitch by Matan. And then Brandon Lau up next, 1-0, does hit it into right field. That one will be extra bases. And Tampa does put 2 on the board. It is now 5-2 Indians as Matan gives up a couple runs. 15th double of the season for Lau actually takes him out of the game. Jordan Hicks will be tasked with getting the final out of the inning, and he's been dominant since being acquired from St. Louis. 0-2 to Meadows, and he gets him to swing through the 100-mile-an-hour sinker. That'll end the 8th, and that'll take us to the 9th, where James Karinchak, the all-star closer, will take them out trying to get his 25th save of the season in 28 attempts. First batter, G-Man Choi, 0-2, swings and misses on the fastball. Easy pitching for Karinchak to start the inning. Next up will be Michael Brousseau, 0-for-3, make it 0-for-4. Karinchak back-to-back Ks. He just needs 1 more out now, and it's Willie Adames. 2-1 to Adames down the third base line. Ramirez throws him out, and Cleveland will win this one by a final score of 5-2. Pretty solid performance for the Indians, both offensively and defensively. Nice pitching by Plesac, went 8 1/3 strong, and Cleveland will pick up the win. Looking at the line score, they had 5 runs on 10 hits. Tampa had 2 on 7. Plesac gets the win. Yarbrough gets his second loss, and Karinchak does get saved number 25. Luplow was your player of the game, a perfect 3-for-3 with that bomb we saw in the 4th. The solo shot, he also had 2 RBIs in this ballgame. Now, before we get to the next game, Baltimore has cleaned a player off of our waivers. 23-year-old starting pitcher Eli Morgan. He was on our 40-man. I needed some room, so I tried to get him off, but he was claimed. That'll be important later in the episode. Second game of the series, we do drop 7-1, so Tampa Bay with a redemption shot. Our only run coming by the Rosario solo shot. Then in game 3, we drop as well, this time 8-4, as they had a 3-run first and a 9th, propels them to victory. Now, before we get into the next one, there has been a trade. The Rays actually acquired first baseman Carlos Santana during this series for Vidal Brujan. Carlos Santana, the former Indian, now former Kansas City Royal, gives the Rays a nice solid bat in that first base side. He's been kind of up and down this season, but they are pushing for the playoffs. But they did give up a pretty solid prospect in 65 overall, 21-year-old Vidal Brujan. So he will definitely help Kansas City's organization. Now, we actually get a trade offer here from the Phillies when we simmed the last game. They want to trade us catching prospect Rafael Marchin for Cesar Hernandez, and this one actually was very tempting to me. 69 overall, 22 of age, 69 overall, tempting, but we do have Bo Naylor, so I did not pull the trigger on this one. But Cesar Hernandez has been a player that teams want to trade for. In that last game, we did lose 5-4, so we dropped 3 of 4 to Tampa despite winning game 1. That drops us down to 56 and a 45 on the season. Only 4 hits in this one. Hernandez did have a double and got 3 RBIs. Speaking of Hernandez, the Dodgers will offer us a trade the next day, and they want to trade us relief pitcher Scott Alexander for Cesar Hernandez. Alexander is a lefty bullpen arm, and we actually need some help in the bullpen. He's had a pretty solid season, 3.15 ERA and 34 1/3 innings pitched. And I really thought about this one for a long time. And you know what? I think we need bullpen arm. I think Hernandez is kind of expendable. He is a free agent after this year. So we do make another trade. We do trade Cesar Hernandez to the Dodgers for Scott Alexander to beef up our bullpen. He is 30 years old. He still has some team control. And Cesar Hernandez will now be the starting second baseman for LA. Gives the Dodgers another piece as they push for back-to-back World Series titles. Let me know what you thought of that trade down below. Now, since we made the trade, we are going to send down Brian Shaw to AAA. He has been pretty bad. And who will take his place at second base? Tyler Freeman will be the new everyday second baseman for the Cleveland Indians. Didn't get a lot of work in AAA, but I think he's ready for the opportunity. In the second half of the episode, we will host the St. Louis Cardinals for a 2-game series at Progressive Field. Cardinals sitting at 39-62, by far the most disappointing team in the majors. I don't know what is wrong with the Cardinals. Their pitching hasn't been very good. Their star players Goldschmidt and Arenado haven't been doing that well. And they'll go up against Aaron Seville today, who has been pretty dominant this season. 2.53 ERA with a .9 whip through his 20 starts. It's a rainy day here in Cleveland. Here's a look at the lineups. You can see Freeman in the 8th spot. Ryan Lavarnway will also get the nod at catcher today, so we'll get our first look at him. And Tommy Edman will lead off for St. Louis with his 3rd on the Cardinals in OPS. Game is underway. 0-1 to Edman. He grounds the first batter of the game to Jimenez, and that throw is offline. Jimenez pulls Naylor off the bag, and we got an E6 to start today. Mundo Sosa up next, 0-2, grounder up the middle. This time he feels it, not going to make the throw. He's going to try to take it himself at second. Only gets it out. It probably should have been a double play ball. I don't know if Freeman was necessarily covering the bag like he was supposed to. Maybe a little bit of jitters here for Freeman. Nolan Arenado is the next batter, and he will strike out on a nice slider. Almost looked like a changeup for out number 2. Then Paul Goldschmidt, only hitting 203 on the season, will help us average out a little bit with this 2-out single. Scott Hurst up next. First pitch swinging. He's actually going to put this one into right center, but Rosario tracks it down with his nice speed. That'll end the top of the first, and Carlos Martinez will take them out for St. Louis. Not having the best season is Cargo. 4.59 ERA through his 20 starts. Ahmed Rosario will lead off for us. His average down to 272, but he draws a leadoff walk, so nothing will affect his average there. Naylor in the 2-hole, 0-2, will hit a perfect shot right up the middle. Nice piece of hitting with 2 strikes. Josh Naylor gets on board. 2 base runners now for Cleveland. Jose Ramirez back in the 3 spot today will draw the walk, and that will load the bases early for Cleveland. For Franmil Reyes, 3-1 to Reyes, gets a nice fastball to hit, but he takes it the other way. It's not at the over the wall, but it is enough to score a run as Cleveland once again jumps on the board early. Eddie Rosario up next, 1-0, will chop this one to the second baseman for 6. They do not get 3, so Cleveland will get their second run of the ballgame. Nice hustle by Eddie. Jimenez up next, 2-2. Nice fastball to hit, drives it to deep straightaway center, but it will be caught. But Cleveland does push across 2 in here in the first. Staying with Cleveland in the bottom of the second, Jordan Luplow will strike out on the fastball looking to start the second. That will bring up Tyler Freeman, who is 250. Remember, he had a little bit of experience when Ramirez was hurt over the All-Star break. But in his first chance to be an everyday starter, his first at-bats, he pops up a nice fastball over to second base for out number 2. And then today we'll get our first look at catcher Ryan Lavarnway, who has some major league experience, the former Miami Marlin. Not a prospect, so to speak, but it's always good to see some new players. And he draws a walk in his first bat that we watch. Puts him on first base for Ahmed Rosario, who tries to turn on a nice fastball to left center, but it is caught out there and tracked down, so Cleveland doesn't get anything in the second. Back to St. Louis we go. Harrison Bader will lead off here in the top of the third, the number 9 spot for St. Louis, and he tries to bunt his way on base in front of Lavarnway, but Bader's got elite speed. He beats out the throw, puts him at first base for the top of the lineup, and Tommy Edman will pop it up inside the infield. That'll be easy, out number 1. Bader still on first for Edmundo Sosa, who grounds it over to Naylor, who can't handle it, so he'll just touch first for out number 2. Bader moves to second. Then Arenado up next. First pitch swinging. We'll put this one into right. Bader will score with ease, and the former Rocky will have a 2-out double here in the third, giving St. Louis their first run of the day on what is his 11th double of the season. Paul Goldschmidt's turn now up. He gets a nice pitch to hit. He hits it right back up the middle into center field. Rosario comes up throwing at the plate, and Arenado is gunned down for the final out. What a throw by Rosario. Saves us from a tie. We'll go into the bottom of the fifth now. Lavarnway back up to the plate. 1-0 pitch to him. He gets a fastball, gets jammed a little bit into right center, and will be tracked down for out number 1. Back to the top of the lineup we go. Full count to Ahmed, who draws a walk, putting him on first base. Nice eye there. Up to 73 pitches is Martinez. The 74th pitch will be yanked into right field for a single, putting runners now on first and second. Jose Ramirez back to the 3 spot, gets a 1-1 fastball. He turns on it, drills it to right. Right fielder running out of space, and it is over the wall. A 3-run shot for Ramirez, his 24th of the season. Is a 376 shot down the line, and Cleveland jumps out in front with runs 3, 4, and 5, giving themselves now here a 4-run lead at Progressive Field as the fireworks will go off in center field. That'll do it for Martinez. Manager comes out to pull him, and they'll bring it to the longtime Cardinal Adam Wainwright, who is now coming out of the bullpen here in the second stages of his career. 4.6 ERA. He will be asked to go a couple of innings. He's still got some stamina. His first batter is Reyes. Will drown the 0-2 curveball to third. Easy play over there for Arenado for out number 2. Eddie Rosario now. First pitch swinging. He grounds it over to the other side. Goldschmidt takes it 3 unassisted, and that ends the 5th. We'll go later into this game now, the 8th actually, as Scott Alexander comes out of the pen. Our first look at him as a Cleveland Indian. And the very first batter, he gets Lane Thomas to pop up to Ramirez, and his first batter is an out. Harrison Bader now 2 for 2 on the day. He's going to get on base for the 3rd time as Alexander misses. Then Tommy Edman will come up next to the top of the order. He gets an 0-1 sinker and drills it deep to center. It is caught, but that's a nice piece of contact. And Alexander goes 3 batters, and he actually is pulled here for Phil Matan. So Alexander just asked to get a couple of batters out. Turns it over to Matan, who needs to get the last out here in the 8th inning. It is Sosa up first, who will swing at the first pitch. Hits a nice one out to left. But Eddie does have that one. And we go into the 9th up by 4 runs. Jordan Hicks. Not a closing situation, so Hicks will be asked just to get the 9th inning done and dusted. He'll start off with a 3-4-5 hitters. Arenado with a grounder to Ramirez. There's out number 1. That brings up Paul Goldschmidt. He's had a pretty solid day today. 2 for 3. Make it 2 for 4. A pitch popped up to Freeman at second. He waves Jimenez off for out number 2. And we're down to our final outs. It is Scott Hurst who draws a walk. So Cardinals still with a little bit of life. Brings up Tyler O'Neill. 2-2-2 Tyler O'Neill. He looks at strike 3 on the slider. That ends this one. Cleveland will win the game, one of this 2-game set by a final score of 5-1 and a pretty convincing win. Not really ever in jeopardy. Good pitching all around. Offensively, though, we didn't hit the ball overly well despite having 4 or 5 runs. We actually only had 3 hits in this ball game. We just drew a lot of walks. Martinez had a hard time finding the strike zone early, and it led us to win as he walked 5 batters in his game today in 4 1/3 innings. But we pick up the win. It's not the prettiest win, but it is a win. Before we get into the second game, I wanted to make another roster move. Remember Eli Morgan was claimed off of waivers? Well, that gives us another spot in our organization, so I want to get another bullpen arm, and we're going to turn it to a familiar face in Oliver Perez, who has spent the past 3 years as a Cleveland Indian. He's been a free agent this year, another lefty arm in the bullpen, so we're just going to give him a spot, a 1-year, $2 million contract with some of that salary that we cleared up with Hernandez being traded. So Oliver Perez will be with us down the stretch. Now with him being signed, we are going to send down Anthony Gose, who has been a part of the club for the past month and a half. He will be sent to AAA. Then in Game 2 of the series, we get the 2-game sweep as we beat the Cardinals by a final score of 4-2. 4 runs on 12 hits, so it did look like we stranded quite a few base runners. But Plesac gets another win. In this game, the Dodgers, this is Cesar Hernandez's first appearance as a Dodger, and it doesn't really go all that well. He went 0 for 4 with the hat trick, 3 strikeouts. But we'll have to see if he can help out the Dodgers. I assume he will do better as the season goes along. I go to Sim here the day off, and we get a couple of injuries. Ghost gets hurt, but Nolan Jones tears his ACL, and he's out for the year. All right, so our top prospect has been hurt twice this year. I think he had a shoulder tear earlier, so his season is done, and Austin Hedges will also miss a couple of days, but he has been activated off of the IL, so Ryan Lavarnway will go back down to Columbus. Now I sim the first game here of this Chicago series, and we win 6-5, so we pick up a nice win here, improving to 59-45 to close out the episode. But before we close out the episode, it is the day before the trade deadline, but a lot of the teams decided to get started early. There were 4 trades here on this day. Actually, I think it was 5 trades made here on July 30th. The Blue Jays made 2 of them. They moved Marcus Semien to Chicago, so he will help out the Cubs, who are pushing for that NL Central spot, as it looks like the Toronto Blue Jays have given up on the season, so the former Athletic is now a former Blue Jay. In return, they get a shortstop prospect, Ed Howard, who's only 19 years old, and Riley Thompson, a starting pitching prospect, but Ed Howard is a pretty good get. They also traded Hyun-Jin Ryu, the 34-year-old starting pitcher, to Cincinnati, who will help them out as they also look to contend for the NL Central. And in this haul, they pulled in Reese Hines, a third base prospect at 20 years old, and they also pulled in another prospect and starting pitcher Christian Roa. So Toronto trying to build up for the future, it looks like today. They could be a force to be reckoned with. Tigers and Brewers also made a trade. The Tigers trade shortstop Willie Castro to Milwaukee in a very intriguing trade because Willie Castro is still relatively young and has a lot of team control. So I don't know why Detroit decided to give up on him, but Milwaukee will take him. And they did give up a pretty solid prospect in return. They gave up center fielder Garrett Mitchell, the 22-year-old from California, has a potential, and he actually is in the top 50 of MLB, sitting currently at 43. So Detroit opting for outfield help here. Another trade goes down. The Dodgers and the Royals, Diamondbacks and Royals. The Diamondbacks pick up starting pitcher Danny Duffy from Kansas City. So it looks like Kansas City trying to get rid of some salary. Duffy will be a free agent after this year, but he's going to help out Arizona, who is contending for a wild card spot. But they do give up quite an important piece in Corbin Carroll, a center field prospect from Washington, who is the 26th best prospect in baseball. So Diamondbacks paying a hefty price here for Danny Duffy. I don't know if I agree with that. And then lastly, the Giants and the Pirates make a trade. The Giants pick up Richard Rodriguez to help in the bullpen. Giants aren't really contending, but I guess Rodriguez still does have some team control, so they thought, why not pick him up? But they do give up a prospect in Will Wilson, who is almost major league ready. So I think the Pittsburgh Pirates definitely won this trade. But that'll bring us to the end of this one. The reason why I didn't want to sim this game, it is the trade deadline, so we might make a couple moves today. That will be next episode. We'll recap the month of July, have a little bit of a special with the trade deadline, and see what happens with the Cleveland Indians squad, who currently sits 59-45. Thank you guys so much for watching. Make sure you drop a like and subscribe down below, and answer my question in the comments below. This is Mr. Rob, and I'll see you in the next one.